Yeah.
But because during this workshop, we want people to be able to see your screen
Yeah.
the whole time so that you can follow it. That's why we've done it that way.
So if I just do a test now to share my screen showing the software, could we do that?
Yep, absolutely. But it'd probably be a good idea to wait just another couple of minutes, 2 minutes until everyone joins, and then you can do it because everyone's tumbling in, which is fantastic.
Okay.
Because for one of the first times ever, I didn't put a waiting room in because it can be very irritating to have people constantly asking to be admitted, and if they're allowed to join at any time, it makes it a lot more.
You need someone at the door.
That's right. And usually that's
door.
me. And if I'm trying to do an interview and let people in at the same time,
yes,
I get really distracted. So I just decided that it was easier just to let everyone just bump in whenever they wanted to. But I just wanted to draw attention to the committee members that are on the call at the moment. And for those of you that don't know, we've got Carolyn Hannon from Western Australia. Carolyn, can you wave your hand? She's joined from her iPhone. She's in Western Australia and she has a business there called Crochet Escapes, where she does crochet related travel. If you ever wanted to look at her business, feel free. Then, of course, our secretary is the wonderful, gorgeous Vicky Ledwee from. Where are you from, Vicky? Unmute yourself. Unmute.
Claremont, Central Queensland.
Claremont, Central Queensland, which is fantastic. Are there any other guild board members here on the call? I think some of them are working 9 to 5, so they're not actually here. I'm lucky enough to be a stay-at-home mum, and I've got to leave it to go and pick up my 11-year-old from school. It ends at 2:50. So, and the 13 and 15-year-olds are at camp last week of school before the holidays in New South Wales. So now that it's just hit 1 p.m, Shalene.
Yes.
Welcome to Crochet Guild Australia. We're delighted to have you join.
Thank you.
The background behind Shalene doing this workshop this afternoon is, as you know, most of the members know, I'm organising the speakers and the workshops for the Crochet Guild Australia conference in Sydney. And one of the repeated requests I've had is, how do I write crochet patterns and charts, and how can I create my own pattern? And one of the ones that came up frequently was about graphgans. So I posted in a Facebook group that's not our group, and asked that exact question, and someone said, hey, you don't know about Shalene MacKay from Queensland. She's actually written software. So Shalene, over to you. Tell us the story behind Hookin Crochet.
Well, I like designing crochet patterns, and I do these funny little drawings to me that represent stitches and symbols. And one day I just happened upon that this crochet symbols are an actual thing. There's a real thing. And then I found the crochet charts. So I got interested in those, and I've created lots of symbols, crochet symbols as fonts. And then, of course, it just went from there, and I discovered the crochet graphgans, which absolutely fascinated me, to be able to turn pictures into crocheted art. So then I went hunting for software to make these, and I found a few online, which I'm sure many of you have stumbled across. None of them would do quite what I was looking for. Being a very technical person, different stitches are different widths and heights in proportion to each other. And the thing like a cross stitch just has squares. Well, that didn't quite work for all the stitches. For instance, a single crochet is shorter than it is wide. So a graph actually needs more stitches, more rows to be equal to how many columns. So I worked out it's a ratio of 4 to 5. So if you have, say, 40 stitches across, you're going to need, say, 45 rows to make a square. So that just got me, you know, working on from that. And since the software, then you can do graphs, all sorts, single crochet, C to C, the bobble stitch ones with all the words. You'll see a lot around that say things like "You are my sunshine." And it just went from there. Me being a left-handed person, I also, although I crochet right-handed, I understand the difficulties that us lefties face. So all the written instructions then that the software created, I made them so there's left-handed and right-handed versions. So I've tried to sort of cover everything. The stitch terms I use in it are US terms, because a lot of my customers are in the US, and I know a lot of people do use US terms anyway. So, but I've got, like, in the where you can select different hook sizes, and that I've got both our sizing and US sizing. So I've tried to cover everybody around the world.
Great. Well, that's fantastic. So I guess the best thing that you could do would be actually to, so you're not a techie person by background, but you love maths and patterns and logic. So you decided—
I do, yes. Yeah.
You decided that you'd create your own software.
I did, yeah. I do not have a tech background at all. I'm just all completely self-taught. I started with making a very simple website about 20 years ago, and it just went from there. Yeah.
So how about we cut straight to the chase?
Yep.
Because some of our viewers are on lunch breaks at work.
Yeah, sure.
Can you share your screen and start your workshop demonstration on how people can use your software? Because I've been waiting for this all my life.
Okay.
Fantastic. We can see.
So are you seeing the software now?
Yep, that's great. Everyone take yourselves off mute, and if you want to ask Shalene a question as she goes through, please interject. Okay, Shalene, take it away.
There is a lot in this software, so it's going to be very hard to sort of cover everything today, but
we can do a second workshop later on.
Yeah, I think we'll need it. Well, I'll do some.
So the big thing, though, is for everybody is that when you download the software and use your inbuilt computer package to unzip the program, you'll then be taken through an install wizard that will automatically load this up onto your computer. And you'll have a pop-up box that will step you through whether you want a 30-day trial or whether you want that.
This is the pop-up box here. You can select 30-day.
We're having a question here. Is there a Mac version? What was that? Is there a Mac version? There's not.
Only Windows. The only way you'd be able to use it on a Mac is if you run it under Parallels or something like that, an emulator. So all Windows. Sorry.
All Windows. Okay. What I wonder about, because there's a Mac version for there's a Windows version for Mac, isn't there? Or am I just thinking of the Word version and the programs? Yeah, sorry, forget I said that. There's just programs, sorry. Okay. So Shalene, you get you get this pop-up box, and what do you do here? Do you go to the second grade?
You've got to go here to register.
Yeah.
That'll take you to a form on my website just to fill in, and then that gets emailed to me. I'll receive that, and then I've got to do a license key for you that matches this registration ID, and I'll email that back to you. Then you can just input that into this field here and click activate, and then you can access the software then.
Okay, terrific. Okay, so
So I
exit out of
can't do all that
page.
because mine is actually already registered, so I can't sort of do that.
Can I
but-
just ask something, please?
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
I have just tried to do this and I got an error message saying there was something wrong with the captcha, but I didn't see any captcha on it. You know, when it usually says you are not a robot or whatever, it says there was a error message. Anyway, I emailed to whoever it was, webmaster.
were you
it
able
said
to send? Were you able to like send? Did that come up after you'd sent that form?
Yes, I filled in my name and everything, and
But the name, it still said it was submitted. Okay.
it said, please try again. And I did it again, but I got the same error message. And I have forwarded that error message on to whoever it said on the
Right.
screen.
'Cause
I
don't actually use the capture. So
yeah, well, there wasn't a capture there. So
no,
when it
well,
was
I don't
saying there
use
was-
it.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happened there. Sorry, because I tested it out just this morning and everything went okay. So what was your name?
Kerry Bowie.
Okay. Well, I did get your email requesting a
Mhm.
license key. You didn't get an
Okay.
email back?
No,
You
not
didn't?
yet.
I may have just run out of time.
Okay.
Because I had a lot come through, so I may have just run out of time. But I do remember your name, Kerrie.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So it's still there, sitting,
that's
waiting for me to send it back to you.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, that's great because we know that you've got a license key that's coming back to you on email. So let's check in later on this afternoon with you, Kerry, just to see that you've got that back and you're able to access the software. And for those of you that haven't received your activation code yet, don't worry, Shalene's onto it. Okay, Shalene.
Now, in the software package that you've downloaded, there is a folder in amongst that sample graph image to PDF. That's the one I'm going to look at a bit today because you'll be able to work through that more later at your own pace.
Okay.
So that one, this one's a single crochet graph that I'm going to show you. So we select single crochet graph up here.
And what are the other choices?
The other choices?
Yeah.
There's extended single, Tunisian simple stitch, fillet crochet, bobble stitches, C to C, the pixel graphs, which are just a small granny squares all joined. And then I've just got a basic sort of all-purpose one to cover whatever. So
that's okay. Great. So what should we do so we've got a picture that we want to replicate to a crochet graphgan. What do we do?
okay, first up, depending on the stitch you use, you're going to have to work out what size to actually make your graph, like the proportions of your graph. So I've got in here, we've got calculators. So let me check my notes here. We have a proportion calculator.
Mm-hmm.
Now this particular graph, we want it to be a rectangle shape. We want it to be half as tall again as it is wide, which would mean we'll start with 100 columns and 150 rows. That makes sense to everyone?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we've got half as many rows again as we've got columns.
So at this point, can I just ask you, when
Yes.
you're choosing the graph, at
Mhm.
this point, you're actually choosing what your total graph size is going to be that you're going to work on and put your symbols onto.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah. There also is another calculator. Say you wanted to make a graph 200 centimeters by 300 centimeters.
Yeah.
It'll work out for you how many actual columns and rows you will need
Or
in any
stitches.
given stitch to get it to that size.
Great. So, okay.
Right.
So,
Okay.
There's a lot of things here that'll do all your maths for you.
Okay.
great.
So for this one, I'm just working on just the number of stitches and sizing that way.
So if you choose the wrong size to begin with, and as you're designing, you realise that you've made a mistake, it should have been 150 by 150, for example, can you change that partway through?
No, unfortunately, you'll have to start again.
Okay.
Okay, keep
Okay,
going,
now-
Shalene. Yep.
This one, being a single crochet, as I explained earlier, the stitch itself is actually a bit shorter than it is wide. So we're going to need, if we made it 100 stitches wide and then 150 rows, it would not be the rectangle shape we're wanting when it's finished. So what we need to do is use this tool. And if I click calculate proportions here, it tells me the graph size I need to do is 100 columns, 180 rows. So we put that up into here, 100 columns, 180 rows, and then add graph. So this will add the grid here. See that's the grid there now ready to do our graph on.
Wow.
Now, there's a few ways you can, if you want to work with an image, to get an image into that to work on. The way I'm going to do today is what I call auto pixelate. This is over here. Now the image I'm using this one here with the balloons, and it says happy birthday. Give the program a minute to process that. Okay.
So I missed that. So is that when did you click import background image? Did you from the toolbar?
No, I actually did the auto pixelate.
Oh,
this one.
auto pixelate. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
You can also use the import background image.
Mm-hmm.
This one what this one does is puts the colors in these boxes. You still have to tidy it all up. Whereas the background image, it just sits an image behind it. So no coloring has actually been done in the graph.
Okay.
From here, we now need to clean this up, make these colors solid color, because at the moment there's a lot of shades of pink here, for instance.
But if you wanted to have that variations of those pinks to make it look, could you do that?
But you could do, although there is actually a lot of pinks in there. So the trick is finding all those different colored pink yarns, and also there'd be an awful lot of color changing in it.
Yeah.
So your best then to, I mean, you can do any way you like. The fewer colors, the better. These ones I just do all the colors solid with just a lighter shade here on this glowing piece. I'll show you just a minute. See, this is this graph here that I've coloured and just made
Oh, I
those
see.
solid blocks.
You simplified it.
Yeah, you really need to simplify it because you have to keep in mind the shades available in yarns
Mhm.
and the changing of colours all the time as you work with it. So, I mean, you could put another like glowing area around this area if you like. Up to you.
Mhm.
This is just a really simple one to demonstrate how to use different things in the software. Now to colour this, you've got colours up here to choose: left mouse and right mouse. I'll choose a different colour so we can see a bit. Right mouse, I tend to put, say, on white. If I make a few mistakes, I can use the white to fix things up. Now you can colour, you can just click on that colour. I'll zoom in a bit so you can see. You can click on that colour one at a time. You can hold down Control on your keyboard and just drag your mouse to colour lots at a time. So it speeds things up a bit.
And that's just so you can, what's the purpose of that? I'm not sorry for being so. Is that just if you want to change the colour of the yarn?
Well, that's how you clean up that original graph that you've imported, that image. Then you need to go over and like put less colours in to make it something that you can actually crochet. If I'll go back. Hang on. I'll go back to the other one. Show you this one. No, wrong one. Just a minute.
Thanks so much, Shalene. I can't begin to thank you so much for someone who doesn't have a techie background. I'm just in awe that you've built this program because
Okay.
I'm able to follow the process. Like, so you work out your height, the size you want, you import the image, and then the computer software translates the image into the size that you want. And then you've got the filters of the colours that you want.
Okay, here's one. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. Just a minute. I'll find the one in a minute.
No, that's good. I've been very curious with these portrait crochet people that do all these amazingly complex graphgans that almost look like photographs.
Yes, yeah. You can do those too with this. I have tried that out with like a black and white image of a person, and tried that process, and it does actually work quite well in this program. Here's one here, just going back to the colouring in. Here's one here where I've just started colouring this first balloon, and the others are not yet coloured. So it's basically just to just refine all those colours so each one, shows up more solid, one colour at a time.
Oh, I see what you mean. It's to get rid of the shade and to actually a solid block of colour.
And this one, you can still see little bits of colour behind that I'll need to go back through with the white and just get rid of those to tidy it up a bit more. So it is a bit of a process, but you get used to it as you go. There is also another feature that you can use to reduce the number of colours.
How does that work?
Well, I've got that here. You can choose a percentage, 10 to 90% to reduce the number of colors. So if we say choose 50, can't really see much different. Oh, there we go. Can you see it's?
Yeah, I can see actually.
You can see it in the purple now.
Yeah.
There's less, and in the blue. See how there's less colors now?
Yes.
That can help you work, but you still need to clean this up. See, because you've got different colors, just one single blocks here and there, you need to clean those all up so they're the same colors in various blocks. So does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
And now something else I'll show you. A quick way to fill various colors. You may have a color, you want to change all instances of that color to a different color. So we'll look at the background here. It's white, so I want to change that to a light gray color. Now, if I hold down the shift key and just run my mouse over the colors, now we go down to bucket fill, and it's got the color I wish to replace. It's set that as white. And now I choose a color I'd like to replace it with. We'll take this gray and then do replace color. And that replaces all those whites with the grey.
Shalene, we've had a request from Lyndon Bird who's asked whether we can do this for mosaic or interlocking crochet. Is that possible?
I've never actually tried it with the mosaic. It's only something I've come across very recently, to be honest. But you possibly could, but there's nothing set
Right.
in this. But looking at how they do them, if you know how mosaics are done, it's a similar sort of concept that you're colouring in blocks. You could make it work. You could just do.
I was thinking that
even just the all-purpose one.
Yeah, I was thinking you could easily, to be honest, you could easily do it but that's me.
I mean, I haven't looked at how it's done a lot, but I have a bit. And going by what I've seen, you could just use the all-purpose graph, which just creates square blocks.
Yes.
And then you could color those, like which row by row, you could color them like that and make it work. Yeah, anyone that was familiar with the mosaic type of things, they would understand it for sure. Yeah.
So,
Arlene, why hasn't it changed that white around the balloon to the grey?
It's not pure.
Well, they weren't all actually definitely white.
Okay, that's what I was.
Yeah, that's why they hadn't changed. So this was a graph that was still in the process of me working on it. So those particular blocks weren't yet even white.
Okay, they just look white.
They do look white, but there's infinite shades of white. So
yes, yeah, I understand.
Shalene, step us through some of the other features of the software. So if I go up to the top here, I see the font family underneath the second box underneath files. You've got font family. What's that?
Oh, that's just if you want to write anything on your graphs.
Yeah.
Put any sort of annotations or anything on your graph.
Is it like a comments, is it?
Yeah, so just choose say you wanted to say
this is for an 8-ply, not a 10-ply, or recommended.
This is for 8 ply yarn.
Okay.
Add that. That'll add it onto here. It should be down here somewhere.
And what do your customers that buy the software, what do they mainly use it for? Graphgans or fillet or what?
Mostly graphgans. A lot of people use it for the C2C graphs.
Oh, so I interrupted you. So once you've got the graph, you actually print it out then, don't you?
Once you've done all this graph,
Yeah.
you can make it'll work out all written instructions for you.
Oh my goodness, does it?
Yes.
Wow.
Show us how that happens.
I'll just get this finished one here. This one's ready for the written instructions to be done.
Mm-hmm.
All but crochets it.
Yeah, well,
I
that's
wish.
it. Yeah. Unfortunately, you've got to do that bit yourself. So that's a time-consuming bit, isn't it?
Oh.
Okay, we go down here. Count all colors here. Go through this. This will count how many stitches there are in each color. Okay. So this shows there's 12,046 white, 735 of the green. To make the written instructions, first we've got to go through, click on each one and give the color a name. See that?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it can actually tell you how many yarn colors you need.
Yes, yeah, it works out. It's worked out here 15 colors all up.
So could you print that and take with you shopping to choose your colours from it?
You can print, when we get to printing the instructions, it prints out row by row, say 10 white, 15 green, like that. It prints all that out. Then at the end, it will print this out exactly as you see it here with the colors, the color names you put in, and yeah, it'll print all that out for you. It'll also work out if you go, you've got to add all the color names before you can proceed any further. But once you've done that, we go into this next one. From here, we can choose right-handed or left-handed instructions. This is where it actually creates the written instructions for you. It'll calculate how much yarn you're going to need in each color. So you select what yarn you want to use. So we'll go 8 ply DK. Say we'll use a 4.5 mil hook. It will then, as it creates the written instructions, it will calculate how much yarn you need.
Oh my God. Okay.
And then it will ultimately create these written instructions. Now I'll show you what the instructions are like.
Look
yeah.
out. Pop up, Pookie. Pook, look
So
out.
here's the written instructions that the software's created for this graph. You've got
So it gives you the meter, the yardage or the meterage for each color. Okay, roll down there for me, Shalene, so I can see the written instructions.
So you've got, excuse me, you've got each color here. How many meters you'll need in that color. So this one here, the white, you're going to need 645 meters. The pink, you'll need 35 meters. So that's all worked out for you. Then this is the written instructions, what they look like. You've got, say, row 3, color number 1, single crochet 51, color number 14, single crochet 2. Okay.
Yep.
There's lots and lots and lots of written instructions because there's 180 rows. And we get down to the bottom. And here's our color legend here that I was saying earlier. We can then, it gets printed out in the instructions. So there's your color legend there. So you could just print even just that one page, take that with you to choose yarn colors.
Yeah.
And then further down, this is optional whether you want to add this into your instructions as well. A bit of a chart
Symbols.
with the symbols, and then some basic instructions how to do the stitch, how to change colors, that sort of thing.
So all those examples will come in as well. Wow.
Yeah, you can add all this in.
Okay.
You can add there, that's this bit over here. You can choose those and it'll just add all that section, how to do the stitch and those images. You can add all that in. Yep.
Does anyone have any other questions? Because I'm completely overwhelmed at the moment.
Mm.
One here. I'm just wondering, like you show the stitch graph where it has the chart with the symbols. Can you do a complete pattern in just the symbols without doing the actual coloured graphgan?
Not with this software. I have the symbols I have as fonts, so you can use those in software like Illustrator, like a graphics program, to create charts with symbols. But this particular software doesn't do those. I have just the fonts software that does that. Yeah.
While we're on that, Shalene, you've given us a free link for a download of the basic fonts software, which we posted on the Crochet Guild Australia community chat Facebook page.
Yeah.
So all of you that want that link, please go over to that group, not the Crochet Guild Australia Facebook page, the Crochet Guild Australia community chat page, and you can download there's a link there of the free fonts. So that's great. When we download those fonts, do we have to, we can actually put those on a Word program, can't we? We don't have to use Illustrator.
You're best in some sort of graphics program, because then you can move them around a lot more, rotate them.
Yes, I know, but we still can, if we were going to do row by row, we could still use that in a Word program for those of us that are numpty.
You can do, except the line spacing in a Word program is too far apart for the charts to sort of look any good.
Mm-hmm.
Could you use them in Excel? If you didn't want to do them in Word, could you use them in Excel?
Not the symbols, no, because they're just typing like you would type words. They're just typing like that.
Mm.
This is a fillet graph here that I've done with the symbols. That's the double crochet. So they're just done in a. Have you got a minute? I'll open Adobe.
Love you to show us how to do that. Yeah.
I'll show you. This one's a granny square I've done with the.
Shalene, just as while you're doing that, while the program's opening, could tech editors would love to have this program to double check their work if they've ever been, wouldn't they? Just to check their maths.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I do have another software. It's Charts and Graphs Companion, and it's got all those tools in it as well to calculate all those different proportions. Yeah. it doesn't actually create any graphs or anything for you, but it's just a tool to help with those type of things, doing calculations. And say you've got a big graph, you want to divide it up into smaller sections so it will fit across several A4 pages. It'll divide up a big graph for you so you can print it out, things like that. That's what that software does.
What's the name of that software again, please, Shalene?
Which one, sorry?
One you just mentioned that you could use with this?
That's Crochet Charts and Graphs compare. Oh, use the fonts with? Do you mean, sorry?
No, what you were just talking about just now.
Oh, the Crochet Charts and Graphs companion.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm just taking notes.
And where do they get the Crochet Charts and Graphs companion? Is
That one's on my website as well.
Yep.
And it's also on my Etsy shop. Yeah.
Okay.
This is
So you like
a granny square chart I've created.
And that's in Adobe Illustrator, is it?
This is in Adobe Illustrator, using the font software. Some of my things are covered. I can't see everything.
So while you've been talking about Adobe Illustrator, I've just Googled to see prices of Illustrator type products. Is Adobe one of the cheapest?
Adobe now, it's a monthly subscription. So it's actually probably one of the dearest now. There is another one, Affinity Designer. Yeah. That's a buy once. It's around the $100 mark. It's very much on par with Illustrator, and it's very good for doing these as well with that one. So that'd be the one I'd recommend you go for. And is that a once-off fee? That's a once-off purchase. Yeah, that's a once-off purchase, and they're up to version 2 now, which has got lots of improvements, and they are gradually improving it, adding more features to it all the time. So,
but if you're a student or a parent, you can. I know this because I've got 3 kids at school and 1 in primary school. And your kids get the student teacher versions of all these products for either free or massively discounted. So find out from your kid.
No, I'll have to. My hubby's a teacher, so I'll have to see what he can do for me.
Yeah, absolutely. He's on the other scale, the teacher side.
I've got the kids at school and I've got the teacher husband. So hopefully.
What was the Adobe alternative called?
Affinity Designer. I originally got the student version of Illustrator, of the full Adobe package, back when it's CS6 version, which was the last version that you could buy as a one-off purchase.
Yeah, we had that years ago. Yeah.
And it was around the $3,000 mark to buy it, but if you're a student, it was $345. So I wanted to update my web design skills anyway. So I enrolled in a web design course, and I could then purchase it for $345, and it was $600 for the course. So I learnt all new things about web design and got my Adobe products. So
yeah, there's you've just got to know. You've got to know. That's great.
You've got to find ways around things, that's for sure. Yeah. So this is a granny square chart.
So Shalene, if we downloaded your basics font, which I've done, and so we'd go to Adobe Illustrator as an example, as the program. So if you were going to create a new file, then so you create a new file in Adobe Illustrator, and then make for us a graph and show us how we would do that.
Okay.
The same thing that we do width by height, and with the units, we would, instead of choosing pixels, we choose centimeters, for example.
For these, for this particular one, it really doesn't matter what you work in. I work in pixels for these.
Mm-hmm.
If I go up, I prepared this one. This was making a granny square. First I added a polar grid and put this.
What's a polar grid?
Polar grid over.
Circular.
Is that because you're doing something in a circle?
Yeah, polar grid here is something you can add. A polar grid.
It's a circular thing, is it?
Yeah, it'll come up width, height, the number of concentric dividers, the number of circles you want in it.
Okay.
It's just to use as a guide for laying out your stitches.
Mm-hmm.
This for a square, I've also got a grid behind. All I really want for the square is these parts of that polar grid. So I get rid of the circle bits, extend these out. And then from here, I type the symbols. A good way I work by putting what I want to use next to here. And then as I want to use them, then I just actually copy and paste and put them onto the graph. Some stitches, when we get into the symbols too, I'll show you on my website. We'll have stitches like on one, hang on. Catherine reel, for instance. That's what this is, a Catherine wheel here. It's just worked in rows.
Mm-hmm.
So I've made all the stitches for each row, and each one is a letter on your keyboard. You just type, and you type a sequence of letters, which is all in the instructions for this software. It's all there. So you basically just type this sequence, and it'll produce this first row. Then you type the next sequence and it produces the second row. So that's a C2C one.
Wow. So even if we upload our own image, it can do a C2C version of our image.
In the graph software.
Yes.
Yeah, because you just choose
Which
which style you want.
Mm-hmm.
So C2C, we'll just go with a small one, say 50 by 50. That creates your chart, and then you can, do whatever image you want to make that a C2C. And then ultimately it will also create the written instructions that'll go, they start down here. First row will be this one stitch, second row will be the 2, third will be the 3. It'll work out row by row like that for you as well.
Amazing. Saved a lot of writing.
Are there any questions anyone wants to ask? Please get into it and ask our great friend Shalene here. So
I'm interested in copyright, because what you showed with the stitches was quite a lot of instructions, pictures of how to make a certain stitch, how to join different coloured yarns.
Yeah.
I design, and although I'm more interested in the Affinity Designer and the using those fonts in there.
Mm-hmm.
If I was designing, say, a graphgan,
yeah,
and I'm wanting to use your software there, surely your pictures remain copyrighted to you. I would have to use my own pictures of the same instructions or
No,
similar instructions?
I actually allow you to use my pictures in your instructions.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's brilliant.
They're included in that for you to use freely within your instruction. You can add your own if you want. You can add images into that if you want. But yes, you're free to use all of my images that are included in the software. Yeah.
That's great.
Wow, that's
And also
really
just
lovely.
No copyright problem. They're yours to use.
Excellent.
And just a bit of information, I just Googled the price of Affinity Designer. Now, I'm sure this is in US. If you want to purchase either the Windows or the Mac version, $69.99, or you can get the entire suite on all platforms for $169.99. But you can also buy an iPad version on its own for $19.99.
Yes,
no monthly costs, whatever you decide.
So you can do it.
great. The full package, they've got designer, photo, and publisher.
Right.
So if you buy the full package, you actually get there's three different softwares. Yeah.
So I'm confused now. Does that mean I can do it on an iPad or not?
Not the fonts.
Yep. Anything. Yep.
The fonts or the graphgan software?
Well, so is the fonts available to iPad and the graph?
The fonts you can use, the fonts you'd be able to use in Affinity Designer on your iPad, yes.
Yes, excellent. Okay, thank you.
But not this graph software. That only runs on Windows computers.
Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of fonts for stitches that are going, say like a triple crochet 3 rows below, is that capacity in the fonts?
There is some. Let me find them.
Is that like if you're doing a cable?
Like spike stitch, is that the sort of thing you mean?
No, spikes.
In here.
Spikes it's actually differently. I've got like my hand drawn ones, but like a like a triple crochet into rows. Like you've done a stitch in the back loop only 3 rows below, and you're doing a triple crochet into the front loop of the stitch 3 rows below now. So like on a hand drawn one, it looks like this sort of thing.
Are these ones you mean?
Yes.
Oh, they would be back posts with the hook.
And then the front post the other way here, whatever.
Yeah. But they're not quite triple or double crochet, etc.
You mean double crochet after double crochet in a skip stitch from the previous row?
Sorry, say that again.
Are you sort of talking like a double or a triple that's in a skip stitch from below the like 3 rows down type thing?
Yeah.
Like surface.
That's what these ones represent. When you say a triple, you're speaking like Australian.
Triple or treble.
Yeah.
Yeah, triple or a treble. Yeah.
So this would be it here. And
yeah, typically that symbol with the hook going that way would mean back post or front post, not front loop or things. So I was just wondering what sort of symbol.
You're talking about doing a normal stitch, but instead of in the row that you're working, in a row that's a number of rows down.
Yeah, see, this is it here. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I can see.
Clearly.
Yeah.
That's those stitches used in an example here.
Yeah. But that's the only type of stitch that you've got that does that?
Like that one, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you flip those stitches so that one's a back post and one's a front post?
You can, yeah. Yeah, you can definitely flip them, yeah.
And I think the question was also about back loop only. How do you show that it's just in the back loop or just in the front loop?
Oh, that's these ones here, front loop, back loop there.
Okay, cool. So
there's also some with Let's see if I can find them with the actual stitches. No, they might be in the other set, but those, yeah, those ones are to represent front loop and back
Front
loop.
back loop. Okay.
So just to interject here, so Shalene's got 4 lots of crochet stitches. So she's given you the basics one for free. She has got the fonts for stitches blocks 1, 2, and 3, which may not be in, you know, which, so if they're more complicated stitch groupings, they'll be in the stitch groups 1, 2, and 3. So Shalene, they can preview those, can't they?
That's it. This is on my website that I've got up here now. This is the symbols 1 set. It shows all the stitches that are in that set,
Which is different from the basics. The basics is before that.
the basics is just these ones. The basics is just these
So the
stitches.
basics is number 1.
No, the basics is basics.
Okay, great.
We got basics, number 1, number 2.
Great. Sorry, peeps.
3
No, you're
lots to choose from. Yep.
Yeah, so there's 3 different ones. So these are the basic, and they're in the symbols 1 and 2 sets as well. And then the symbols 1 set has all these stitches.
So where do you find the package that has everything in it? I only saw the 3 options there for that. So where someone mentioned before that the package had everything, where do I get that?
The 3 font sets.
Yeah.
You just buy them individually. Like
Okay. Right.
One, you know, buy 1 and 2. Just buy them individually like that.
Okay.
And this is number 2, so it's got different stitches again. Oh, here's the front and back loops with the various stitches on them.
Mm-hmm. So if you buy 1 and 2, you don't need to buy the basics, or do you need to
No,
buy
no.
right, just 1 and 2? Yep. Okay.
Yeah. These are some cluster stitches, the bobbles and popcorns.
Yep.
Are these maybe the ones you were thinking that go down triple stitch down 2 rows? Those ones maybe.
Yeah, sort of. The ones I'm thinking of don't have a tail on them at all. They just end straight.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. The tail usually signifies a
Yeah.
back post or front post.
Mm-hmm. And then we've got these stitches that make up a particular style. So this one's a slanted shell. This one's for doing corner to corner graphs, a star stitch, Catherine wheel, crocodile stitch, and broomstick lace. And that's just a few little examples there of them in graphs.
Did I hear you mention Tunisian before too? So are they in there as well or not?
Not in the fonts. There's no Tunisian. They're in the
graphgans.
In the graph program, if you want to do a graph done with Tunisian stitch, yeah. That's one I need to work on actually, is the fonts for the Tunisian. I do have another package in progress. It's going to have more things like an African flower and that sort of thing.
Okay.
So that's because there's not a lot of different stitches in the Tunisian. I could, you know, I'd probably do it as a separate font set though, so it's just specifically for Tunisian. So I think that'd be easier for people to work with. So
yeah.
Could I show you a picture of something? I just want to know if you're able to do this on your program.
Mm-hmm.
It's Maggie. I don't know where am I supposed to put this so you can see it.
Oh, right. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Yes, you could do that with the fonts. Yeah.
You could. Oh, well, wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You absolutely could.
Okay, good, good. I'll have fun playing with it. I created this on another program, but it's very limited. Well, not very limited, it's a bit limited, but your stuff's pretty amazing. Well, I'm looking forward to playing with it, Shalene.
Okay. I'm not sure what else to show you now.
I just want to interject here because I'm very thrilled because the wonderful Jenny King, who was one of the founders of and Linda Tompkins, who's one of the founders and of Crochet Guild Australia, are on this call. And Lyndall Reeve, who was the third founder of the guild, was registered. Ladies, do you have anything you'd like to ask Shalene? You can unmute yourselves.
Is this for anyone to ask a question or just?
Yeah, anyone ask a question because
but for
Jenny,
doing, you just showed up the circles, the charts with circles on them. I need to use like Adobe or Affinity to be able to do that. Put your symbols onto that program. Is that how it works?
Yes, yeah, you need
That I need to go.
You need something like Adobe Affinity Designer.
Okay.
Simply because it's much easier to work with the symbols. You can rotate them, move them around, put them wherever you want.
And change the colors of the symbols?
You can, yes, you can change your colors to anything you like.
Okay, good.
So
every row could be a different color. That's interesting.
It could be. See there, it's red now. So yeah, they can be any color you like. I often
it looks like you can enlarge it too, is that right?
Oh yeah, you can make these any size. So you select, because they're fonts, you select the font size. So you can make them any size you like. I can't get this thing.
Can I ask, is it Affinity or Infinity? The other
Affinity, AFFINITY, Affinity.
Thank you.
So here's a font sizing.
Yeah.
You can make things as big as you like. Oops. Where do we select the right font here? So if we go to symbols 1, you can make them as big as you like. You can make it 300 points if you like. So yeah.
I need to get used to using Affinity. Yeah.
Yeah. We need a new keyboard that just has all these symbols on it. We'll be right.
Well, we certainly do.
Well, in the fonts, I'll show you quickly. When you buy the fonts, that's not what I want. Hang on. It has a stitch list here.
So that's what we have to learn, like another verb, like
So you'll get.
Well, I'm looking forward to when you invent the new keyboard as well.
a crochet keyboard. Yeah. So this is actually laid out like your keyboard. So you've got your QWERTY across here. So it does make it a bit easier to find the stitches that you want to use. And then there's a
print them out as stickers.
Pardon?
Print them out as stickers to put on your keyboard.
That is fantastic.
Yes,
I like that.
Print them out.
That's a great idea. Cheat sheet. We'll be doing that. Chop them up and stick them on.
Yeah. Everyone's probably got a spare old keyboard that they could switch over.
Just tough if anyone else wants to use your keyboard, hey?
Oh, too bad. Straight
But
off my
just
machine.
to remind you all, the basics package of the fonts is free for you all to download from the Crochet Guild Australia community chat group page. The more complicated stitches, the more advanced stitches you have to purchase, and their packages to 1 and 2, isn't it? Basics
1 and 2, yeah.
So you've got the basics that Shalene has provided for free.
Thank you.
Thank you
How
so
long
much,
does that
Shalene.
basic last? How long does the offer for basic fonts last? Is that
there's a link up in the group.
But
where you
what's
can
the
download
duration? Is it forever once you download it, or is it timed?
No, it's yours. It's yours forever once you download it.
Wow, that's wonderful.
I have a Mac, so I've got to somehow or other make it compatible with Windows. So if it
The
takes me a
fonts?
couple of months, will it still be available? The
You
software.
mean the fonts? The fonts you can use with a Mac. Is that what
Okay,
you
but
mean?
not your. No, I meant your software.
Oh
said
no, that you can't use that one with a Mac. That's only Windows software.
Yeah, but if I
one.
make. Okay, so it's just the basic fonts that's free.
Yeah, just the basic fonts, and you can use those on a Mac because they're a true type font, so you can use those on a Mac, no problem. Yeah.
Okay.
This is the.
And
Now, everybody, this has been a very information dense workshop. I just want to remind you that it's being recorded. I'll edit it when we end the call and upload it onto our members section of the website so you can replay it. It's pretty turgid and because it's instructional. But don't worry, persevere, as I am too going to persevere, because inside all of us is a pattern or an image or a graphgan that we've always wanted to make, but we've never really felt that we can. And I really feel very confident that Shalene, because she was in the same position we were, has invented this software so that we can do this. So Shalene, thank you very much. Last questions, everybody, and before we end the call.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
Absolutely.
With all the programs that have been mentioned, I have an iPad and I'm curious to know which ones there are actually iPad friendly.
The only ones you can actually use on the iPad would not. It depends what software you've got on your iPad. So if you had the iPad version of Affinity Designer, you could use the fonts in that.
Is that what you mean?
Well, I'm happy to get any programs so that I can actually use some of these ones that are mentioned today, but I'm finding that it's difficult sometimes to get anything because I have an iPad. That the programs aren't designed for them.
No, it's a completely different programming language to develop things for iPad, and the programs just do not have the same scope as what you could have on a Windows or a Mac, computers. They do tend to be much more limited on an iPad. But the graph software is only for Windows computers.
Okay. Thank you.
So, Shalene, thank you so much. We're really thrilled that it's an Australian that's built this.
Yeah.
And someone who's non-techie, and as someone who has really battled through Stitch Fiddle, I really want to say to you, thanks so much for sharing your time today. Once again, we've recorded this. I'm going to edit out the big long bit at the beginning where we were waiting for everybody to join. We'll upload it to the back end. Shalene, do you want to give everybody your email address so that if they've got any problems with downloading the software or they need to contact you, they can, because it's really lovely that you're in Queensland and we just want to make it accessible so that people can contact you?
Yeah.
It's
Easy
support
one.
at,
Pardon?
your email address is support at,
Oh, you can send to a Hotmail one if you like. It's Shay Crochet, SHACROCHET @hotmail.com. You can send to that one if you like. So
Can you pop that in the chat, so if the chat's also available, so
yep,
people can find it?
I'll type that in. It's SHA crochet, is it? Is that right?
SHA and crochet, yeah.
At hotmail.com.
Yeah.
And could we have your website, please? Could you tell us what that is?
hookincrochet.com, HOOKINCROCHET.com.
Okay, thank you.
And guys, I strongly encourage you to download the software. There's an instruction book that I emailed all of you that registered for this Zoom, which has got a picture frame by picture frame of how to request the license key to have your 30-day free trial. If you're like me, who whizzes to the end, you actually can't do that. You actually have to look at each picture and read the caption above to know where you are.
Just give me some time to send out your license keys, because I have to process all those manually. So it takes me a little bit of time, but I'll work through them.
Okay.
Because I certainly want to translate some pictures and some sayings that my mum has said over the years into graphs that I can create memorable gifts for my family. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Haley.
Thanks. Thank you all for coming.
And on behalf of the whole of the Guild and its members, we just want to send you our sympathies and condolences on the death of your dad last week, and how you had to change the time. We really appreciate that you went out of your way to do this, and I know it's been a difficult path for you, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Sending you lots of love, okay? And thank you so much for giving your time to us today. Goodbye, everybody.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.